Hi guys, so I can hardly believe it myself, but I actually have a little bit of an update, more because there was lots of little jobs done today. So first off, I was leaving that to kind of set most of the day with the door open. So it was overnight, it was sitting kind of being loudly wet, and you can see here where I have put on the zinc 182 isopan coating, and you can see what I mean by the gloss finish, that when it dries out, that's what it leaves, this kind of gloss finish. And it's like smooth, but you can rub your finger through it, so it's not, but it doesn't feel tacky, if that makes sense. So it will, if I can get it on here, it will sort of show up as you push it around. It's the sort of the thickness of the coat or whatever. I'm not worried about that. I actually think it's a good thing. But anyway, I was putting this zinc coating wherever I sort of felt it necessary, and mainly over the wells and that. So that kind of gives you an idea anyway of where it is. The back got kind of more attention with that stuff. So anyway, that gives you an idea of that. I started cleaning off. I got all the rust cleaned off, all those secondary brackets, so stuff that holds a fuel lines, the brake pad retainer clips, the slide pins, and the new capsulated nuts for the rear anti-roll bar, and then these weird triangular type shape things are for holding the petrol tank in. The petrol tank main bar, so they got sprayed matte black. The main bar is actually getting hand painted to get a good thick heavy finish on it. I got a second coat on that as well. It just occurred to me that is actually going to be the top side, so you won't see that in when it's on the car, because that'll be up to the roof, or up to the floor, so it won't be actually the underside of it. You'll see. I started on these two tanks, or on the tank. I told you I was going with the diesel one because the diesel one has the two outlets you can just see here. And found when I started grinding it back and everything like that, because there is little bits of surface rust or rust on it. And I found, because there is a little bit of diesel still in it, I found a little, where is it? It's somewhere under here. Yeah, you can sort of see there, one of them little pits was leaking diesel out of it. So I said, right, well then I'd better go have a look at the petrol one. And the petrol one has the 3 outlets, but essentially everything else seems the same. So I started grinding this all back, and I got kind of going around, and then I started onto this, and this whole out, or the spout itself, all this area here was where the floor was rotten in that green murk. So the diesel one came from the donor vehicle. This one came from the green murk, where I've already patched up around that huge hole that I patched up in the driver's side rear well, where the spout goes through, and I had to have the hole match up and everything. So this was covered in kind of a filler hardener. You can smell the hardener as you're grinding it. And then I found down inside here there was 2 holes. Let me see if I can get it on camera. No. Come on, focus. No, you're not going to see it. Basically, there was 2 holes in there. So what I'm going to do is, the reason this is sitting up like this, I'm going to let it dry because I did power wash it. I'm going to let that dry, and tomorrow I will fill it with water up to the brim. That's why it's all capped off with the 2 nuts and everything like that. And we will have a look to see what is wet, basically where it's actually leaking through. If there's a load of leaks, I'm going to have to just buy a new tank. This is the better quality tank, believe it or not. It has a sort of an undercoating covering on it, which to me kind of I think acts as a sound deadening, resonance deadening. It's really kind of, you can sort of see it there. It's a flat black, and then this seems to be a cheap tank. But if it only has one little hole, I might try to get it welded, or I might try and weld it myself. May as well have a go, and then fill it again with water and just see. If it is only just one hole that side, if it's multiple holes in that kind of braily kind of finish that rust leaves, that pitted finish, you won't even get a weld. Like a weld will just burn the entire metal around it and you'll end up with a bigger hole. But I may as well give it a shot if it is only the one hole. If there's loads of holes, I'll do the same with this, see if it's only at the tank there. If it is just at the tank there, I'll have to open it all up, fill it with water. Obviously it'll be filled with water anyway, but I'll have to then try and weld that. Failing that, it's a brand new tank, and I don't know how much that will cost. I haven't even looked at it yet. So that is that. The differential. So you know I have the black diff there. Considering I'm using the mechanical gearbox, the 722.3 gearbox, this a few people have pointed it out to me, and one guy, Paul from the Irish group, he actually did work it out at the time, and it was going to be revving up quite high at 70 miles an hour on motorway, basically, or 120 kilometers an hour. So I had a look at the gearbox that came with the differential that came with the naturally aspirated 606, and I found, so that one was a 3.27 that came with the 300T to petrol. The diesel naturally aspirated 606 and the W124 came with a 3.07, so it's only 0.2 in a difference, you know. So I don't know if that's going to make that much of a difference, but I may as well fit it. They're nearly identical differentials, everything else all being equal. So I may as well fit this one. So I just need to scrape it back. It was painted gold at some stage, or at least it has some kind of gold, not gold, but maybe a nickel coating on it. It's very peculiar that it's gold. But anyway, that's when you get grind back, you get the gold, this kind of gold finish. So that might have some effective difference in my revs. And thanks, Paul, for working out the figures at the time. As I say, a few people have mentioned it to me that I might have an engine screaming at me. Now, in saying that, seemingly the naturally aspirated 606 that would have been fitted to the W124, like as my donor vehicle. I was watching a video by Luke Dale in Diesel Pump UK, and he was saying that the 606 originally, as in that naturally aspirated one, was above 3,000 RPM on the motorway from Mercedes as standard, and in actuality that the engine likes to be up there in those revs a little bit, so basically the obsession that people have with getting the revs right down and getting the highest gearing and everything like that doesn't necessarily do the engine any favors. So I'm hoping that using the same differential and going through that gearbox that I will get a relatively good RPM figure. Not too crazy. I don't mind, like, you know, well, I don't know, you have to drive it really to know, but I don't mind, let's say, something like 3,000 RPM. That'll be fine. But it's probably about how much the final drive on the original gearbox was. So if the original gearbox was a 722.4, if it was a 1-to-1 final drive, which I believe that the 722.3 gearbox is, we'll have a similar revs to the standard 606 that came in the latest iteration of the W124. And then also I'm going to put 18-inch alloys on this, again to try and help. I'll get as much sidewall as I can on the tires, just again to try and help with keeping those revs down. That's another thing that might this be a bit marmitey when it comes to it, but I'm going to go for either something really, really retro, something that's inspired by, let's say, a retro rally tire, wheel setup, which might be, you know, it might be something. Not like, I'm not going to say super light, because super lights are not for this car, but you know, those kind of gold, it's gold color I'll go for, but very, very faint gold, but something like that will have that kind of vintage look. Now, I would really love some BBS LMs or BBS ORSs with a polished lip, you know, and gold center, or a polished lip, silver center, and gold studs. But the problem with those BBSs is they're quite expensive. You can get replica ones that, as soon as they say kind of BBS stamped on them and stuff like that, they're normally crap. You can get ones that are styled similar to them, but then, you know, people, they're kind of rare enough to come across. So I might not go down that route, but I might get something that's inspired by a retro rally kind of look. But I will go for because it's green, I will go for a kind of a gold finish to the alloys, which is a bit marmitey. I actually like the kind of marmitey aesthetic. I prefer to have a car that's mine rather than kind of pandering to what is commonly used on these cars. In saying that, I wouldn't throw my nose up at a nice set of monoblocks. But for the time being, I'm going to try and find something that's a bit unusual for them. Anyway, guys, 12 minutes, and it's a long video for what was a quick update. I hope I don't ramble too much. Let me know if I do. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for the weekend, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks. Bye.